I'll go ahead and start with an introduction. I'm Kevin Eddington. I'm with GSG. I'm your paint product specialist with GSG. We've got Mr. Brad Lind in the room as well from Matthews Paint Company. And Brad, I guess tell us a little bit about your territory and anything you want to tell about yourself there.
Sure. Brad Lind. I've been with Matthews for a little while, so probably almost 6 or 7 years now. But I manage the South Central territory. So I have Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. Again, we're going over this white primer. We've been waiting quite some time for it to come out, and pretty excited about the release just recently. So I think it'll be very informative for you guys. And if you guys have questions, please feel free to post a question in the chat, and I'll try to answer it as we get along.
So what we're going to do, guys, is we've got about an 8-minute video for you that Brad Lind and myself are going to narrate, and we're going to go through and tell you the process from everything from preparing the substrate, which is aluminum in this case, all the way up to spraying the product and why you do certain things when you spray the product. We're going to go through every bit of that. All of the products that you guys are going to see in this video, feel free to reach out to your GSG rep and ask them about it, and we can definitely get these products for you. Everything from the metal prep cleaner, all the way to the mixing cups, all the way to the primer itself. So, Brad, if you don't mind, will you tell us a little bit about this primer and why it's called 2-in-1 and why it's so great?
Sure. So one of the big benefits about this primer is it being white, and that's why it's kind of called the brilliant white primer. It's set up for raw steel, raw aluminum. It's been a really great need for our side of the business for when customers want to paint reverse channel letters or paint a cabinet or something like that, where they're not having to use 2 separate primers. They can come in with this brilliant white and basically prime the whole thing, leave the inside part of the channel letter, reverse channel letter white, and then flip it over and just go ahead and paint the rest of it white and then use their top coat. So it speeds up the process a lot. And of course, with the white background, it's going to make it a little bit more crisp on your colors and so forth. Again, it is an etch primer, so it is specifically designed for raw material, not pre-painted or anything like that.
Perfect. And also, as far as being reflective, what's the key deal about that besides it being a primer? I know that we go ahead and say about its reflective properties. I mean, tell us just a few minutes about that before we do the video here.
Well, I mean, I guess the question that you're asking is like, you know, inside channel letters and stuff, you want that refraction as best as possible. So this primer was built with a high titanium content, so it gives you that bright white. We also did a bunch of testing because some of our competitors' products seem to yellow over a shorter amount of time. So we didn't want that. We went a little bit further and did a lot more testing to get us to a point where we're not seeing any yellowing. And again, we do all this advanced testing at our facility. So having a bright white for a long period is doing your customers the justice. So that's a huge benefit on my side.
Yeah. Perfect. So now, guys, we're going to start the video and we're going to narrate it. And what you're going to see, like I said earlier, is you're going to see all the way from the preparation that Paul Evans does, who is one of the great tech guys for Matthews Paint, and he's in one of their facilities doing this whole video for us. So go ahead, Rebecca, and let's get her started.
Yeah. So what Paul's doing here is preparing basically some white balls, which are a type of lint-free type. It's not necessarily cotton. I'm not real sure what the makeup of. But anyways, what he's trying to do is going to clean the product before the substrate. He's going to clean it before we do any kind of sanding or anything. What we're trying to do is get any impurities, oils, anything like that, especially like if you're getting product, let's say, you know, a reverse channel letter or something like that, that may have been on a router where it has those lubrication oils that are built for cutting and so forth. So you always want to clean the substrate first. So as you can see, he's trying to get as much off as possible. The next step that he's going to be using is the 64 after he's going to sand it. Sorry. You guys sell the sandpaper as well, correct, Kevin?
That is correct. We do sell some sandpaper. The one thing I would tell you guys, I put it on the chat, but make sure you double click the video and you can make it full screen so that you can see all the details of what Paul is doing. But he's sanding the metal now. He's getting it prepared. He's etching up the metal to knock off that sheen so that it helps the primer to stick. So, and I love the fact that, like what Brad was saying, is that they clean the metal before they even sanded it. And the reason you do that is so that you don't sand oils and contaminants down into the metal that possibly won't get wiped out on the next step. So.
Right. So in the product that we're using to clean is our 6410, which is our newest cleaner. It's a water-based cleaner. It's an extremely low VOC. The reason I kind of push the 64010 is the fact that it stays open longer. So again, I'm in the South Central, so Texas. Sometimes it's 110 degrees in a shop, and if you try to use lacquer thinner or some of the other products or alcohol, it just dries too fast and can leave a residue. The 6410 it does a really good job of, even if there's a little bit left, it's not leaving that residue where some of the other products do. We do have the 330 and the plastic prep as well, but overall the 6410 is a perfect universal cleaner for just about every substrate.
Yeah, it's an excellent cleaner, and a cleaner, like what Brad was saying, is to stay wet long enough to bring the contaminants to the surface, and then as you see, Paul wipes the contaminants off. And if you use lacquer thinner or things like that, they flash off too quick and possibly leave contaminants on the surface.
So what he's doing here, we're showing our one of our shakers in our facility. It's very imperative that doesn't matter if it's a top coat or primer or anything of that sort, before it's put on the mix station or so forth, if you get it from GSG, that you make sure and shake it and get everything suspended correctly. So sorry, the video was kind of freezing a little bit, but what Paul's doing is double checking to make sure there's no settling in the bottom here, just kind of stirring it a little bit. But this product is mixed. It's very simple mix ratio. It's a 1-to-1 mix ratio. So the 274 535 is going to be mixed with the 74 351. So as you can see here, he's going to pour up to one of his marks. And again, all of this is available on matthewspaint.com. We have technical data sheets for every product we have. So in those technical data sheets, it's going to tell you a whole lot of information about how it's mixed, how it's sprayed, how it's cleaned.
The one thing I would also state is, in this video, guys, if you'll look, Paul has the tech manual from Matthews that you get from the going to the training class, and he's got it open and he's referring to it. And it's a good idea to have your tech sheets readily available from your manual or whatnot, just because of the fact, even though we use these products daily, sometimes you forget about certain things.
Yeah, and that's great information. Exactly, Kevin. Those technical data sheets should be kind of your lifeline for every product that's out there. Just, especially new products that you're not familiar with spraying or so forth. You want to make sure it's the right product for the right application. So what he's doing here is mixing it. Hey, Rebecca, do you mind pausing it for just one sec? So Lenny, you asked about the yellow funnel. So those are just simple pour spouts from Home Depot. I think they're really cheap. They might be, I think, maybe 50 or 75 cents, or I don't even know, maybe even $1. But they're phenomenal for pouring from a direct gallon without like a Matthews mixing lid or so forth. Excellent choice for any of the painters. Easy cleanup. The cool thing about that yellow little deal, you can take it and just drop it in a little can of thinner and it cleans right up. So just another speedy process. All right. Sorry, go ahead, Rebecca.
And he's also using the 3M PPS system, the newer, the 2.0 3M PPS system is what he is using there as far as putting the paint into the disposable 3M system.
So again, he uses Paul's a big solder guy, so he's got a solder gun set up according to what the technical data sheet. Most of the time, you can spray this with a 1.314 tip in that gun. Pressure is according to what gun that you are currently using. So yeah, I'm a DeVilbiss guy, so I usually use the TechnoPro Pro Light or something similar to that. But he's just getting everything prepared. The substrate's up there. We have a clock there. You can see the time of application and everything else that's going forward here. So
what is neat about the video, guys, is you're going to see Paul put on one coat first, and then you're going to see him tack rag it and put on a second coat, and watch the time period as it time lapses through there, and it'll tell you kind of how quick this primer is. And here in a second, once we finish the video, Brad and I can tell you why you would either use one good coat or you might need two coats in certain situations.
So one thing that I saw Paul do that's very important, guys, is you can see his overlaps, but he also did a spray pattern test just to make sure his gun's spraying properly. I'd recommend this just about every time you go to spray. But that was one good medium wet coat that he sprayed right there. At 6:59, we're done. I think he brings it over here. So 59, there's been 10 minutes pass. He walks over with the tack rag, and it's ready to go. So
what's pretty nice about this primer, guys, that I've sprayed it several times, it's very smooth. He's put on one coat, and you can tell that tack rag is just gliding across it. It's not catching it because there's any graininess to it or anything like that. It's very smooth.
It makes it very smooth so that the 3M tape adheres to it, and it's not, like Kevin said, very grainy. So as you can see here, it's been roughly another 10 minutes. He's pulling it off, and we'll get to see how bright white and everything else it is. Again, tack rag across it just to kind of show how the application looks. So on the left over there, you can see that spray pattern test. So here's part of the sell sheet on that product. Sorry, you're good. Sorry, Rebecca. I was kind of skipping around. You can go ahead and play it if you want, or leave it paused. But that's the sell sheet on the new white primer. You can see the corrosion resistance, the easy mix ratio, 24-hour pot life, fast drying. I came from the sign industry. Fast is always key, especially in the paint department. So the quicker we can get it in and out of the paint department, the better off we are. You can see that on the left over there, it says can be top coated with any Matthews product. So it's a great universal primer for all those raw materials, the aluminum and steel.
So the couple of little notes that it has over there on the bullet points, Brad, that I'd love for you to speak on is it's a 2.8 VOC. So there's pretty much almost anywhere in America that it can be sprayed, and it meets all VOC requirements. So
yeah, unfortunately, we have to make some adjustments to that because once we started adding the acid in there, I believe the VOCs went up a little bit. So we're having to readjust that. I think it's going to end up being closer to 3.4, 3.5, Kevin. So
yeah.
I'm just me trying to be as honest as possible. But again, it's a chromate free primer.
Inside any of the areas, such as Houston, that has to be 3.5, or Dallas that has to be 3.5. So it's still a low VOC primer that works extremely well. Some of the competitive products are not a low VOC primer, and primer is sprayed a lot on different things. So it's a good way for a shop to lower their overall VOCs in the shop. If they ever have anybody that comes in, it's an easy way to lower your VOCs.
Absolutely. And the big thing is the chromate free. So that keeps you out of the being 6H compliant. So that's eliminating one of the heavy metals is always a big deal for some of the larger shops and so forth. So you're not having to have the certification and everything else. So that part of that product is amazing as well.
Rebecca, you're welcome to go ahead and stop sharing the screen, and Brad and I are going to talk a little bit more about the primer. And if any of you guys have any questions, throw it on the chat or let us know. But one of the things that I wanted to address, Brad, was you saw Paul do one coat, and then you saw Paul do a second coat. So talk a little bit about that. It does not have to be two coats. So go into a little more detail, if you don't mind, on why you might do one coat or two coats.
So, every circumstance is a little bit different, but let's say that you're doing some reverse channel letters. The inside part of the reverse channel, I might do two coats to give me a little bit more brighter white for more refraction. And the outside, because I'm going to top coat it, could be a single coat. The same with a cabinet. Maybe we put it on we could all do it in one coat, but we put it on a little bit heavier inside the cabinet. Not as important, even if it runs a little bit, it's not the end of the world, because it's all you're trying to do is basically cover your raw material and give it some, basically the white refracting. So,
right. It's definitely, guys, it's probably one of the, one of the things with Matthews is Matthews has a primer for almost every substrate there is. A lot of the guys out there, the other paint companies, the other coatings companies, they don't have a primer for every substrate that we might come into contact with in the sign industry. The great thing that we have with Matthews is all the primers that they have for plastic, for epoxy, for steel poles, or you name it. You got your tie bond, you've got all your different primers, and that's one of the great things about Matthews is the different versatility and what they have to make it work for the sign guys.
So Chris has a question. It says, is there ever a time the final color would dictate how many coats I need? I'd say yes and no. Here's the reason why. Let's say if we're going to paint a yellow, I would say maybe you could put it on a little bit heavier or have two coats, just so that you're making that yellow pop as best as possible. The same with maybe an orange or a red. If it was a darker color, I don't think it would really matter, Chris.
Yeah.
Hope that helps.
And same goes for different painters, different spray guns. If you're spraying with a primer gun that's a 1.5, 1.6 or somewhere in there, you could put on a pretty heavy coat as far as that goes and probably get away with it real easy. But if the only gun in your shop is a 1.3 or a 1.4, there's a good chance you might have to put on two coats to get full coverage. So, but yeah.
Yeah, the big thing is you're covering, most of the time, in our industry, we're covering raw aluminum with this. Very seldom are we doing steel. But the aluminum, I know it sounds crazy, it seems shiny, but it's actually a dark substrate. So having that white coverage makes it, so I did some testing just recently with this white, and the more coats you put on, at one coat it was fairly white. You put another coat on and it was brilliant. It was super, super white. So the added advantage of putting that second coat on certain colors would definitely help.
Definitely.
So
the other thing I would tell you guys, again, anybody that's in here is, of course, you can go to your Matthews rep and you can ask them questions about any of the products that you saw, the 6410, the newer cleaner that they have. The PPS cups, the mixing cups, the mixing sticks, the primer itself. You can contact your Matthews rep or you can contact your GSG reps, and we sell these products, and we'll be glad to sell them to you. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think that that's what, new products like this and some of our design software stuff that correlates with some of that's going to help kind of set Matthews apart. I mean, you guys, not just the Brilliant White, not the new 6410 cleaner, but also having being able to put the spectrum of color in your design software, whether it be Corel and all the other so forth. Just the color resources that we carry, I think that just sets us apart from our competition. Even our measured color mobile, which is phenomenal, having a camera to go out in the field to even get a raceway color or something of that sort. So just keep that in mind, everyone, that there's so many resources.
So speaking of that, Brad, I'll gladly share my screen real quick. Apologize if I don't get it quickly here, guys, but I will bring up share screen. And can you guys see that okay?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay. So this is the Matthews website, guys, and what Brad was just talking about is the color resources. So you can go to fabricators and distributors over here, and then you've got color resources. So
all over there on the left is all different kinds of the resources.
Here we go. So here are all the color resources that Brad was just speaking of. Everything from the new app that Matthews Paint has to the Measure Color Mobile. You'll see it on the screen. The SOC swatch library for Corel. It's pretty neat. You can import those colors, your designers can, into your drawings, and you've already got an MP number with the color. The spectrum of color is online. That's what's amazing with Matthews is all those little extras that you get, guys. So thought I would quickly share that. If you've not had a chance to go through the Matthews website, you've got videos. Besides, every product data sheet for every product is available in a PDF form. Great website, guys. So I thought I would just share screen real quick and show you that. Anything you want me to show, Brad, while I'm on there?
No, I mean, you guys, again, on those color resources, even under the designer, if you go back to that in the designer tab, there's some other stuff. We have stuff for color panel request. So if you have, go back up to the red bar, the design and architect side. There you go, color tools. So if you look in there too, there's the color panel services. If you have a design firm that needs color panels or anything like that, they can go in and request those color panels from our lab and have those sprayed out and shipped to you guys or to the design firm or whatever you may need. I think that, like I said, this is just something that kind of sets us apart from a lot of our competition, is having all of these available resources, whether it be the swatch library for Corel and Adobe, or even the SOC chip search that you can do on your phone. Again, the Measure Color Mobile. So all those resources are available through those links.
Yep. Well, guys, is there any questions? Is there anything that we could talk about or share with you? I'm going to stop sharing there, so you'll stop seeing that. But I appreciate everybody attending this. Brilliant White Primer by Matthews. It's new. You can look for your GSG Pulse that is coming out this month. And we're running a special on the Brilliant White Primer for you guys. And so check out your GSG Pulse and order some Brilliant White Primer from GSG, and you'll love it.
It's been a great day.
You can go to MatthewsPaint.com for any of that info we were just giving you. Or for GSG, you can go to GoGSG.com, and we have a lot of that info on there as well. Thank you very much for attending, and appreciate all of you guys.